All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to JDN Tax Consulting with your host, Dominic Michel. As we indicated before, we're um, broadcasting these videos to better guide you as you are preparing your Form 990 Easy 990 and 990N for nonprofit organizations. Today, we're going to go over Form 990 Easy, the instruction as well as how you file the form, um, what are the schedule related to that form. Again, you can see here, this is the IRS form 990 Easy instruction. This is a short form return of organization exempt from income tax under section 501c3, 527 or 594 7, I'm sorry, 494.7A1 of the Internal Revenue Code, except private foundation, which use Form 990 PF. And on the instruction is about 47 pages, and this is the content of the pages form. The purpose of the form is found on page 1, general instruction on page 2, who must file if you want to know whether you need to file Form 990 Easy or 990. You can follow the instruction here. Organization not required to file on Form 990 or 990 Easy is found on page 2. And as you can see throughout this, accounting period and methods on page 4, when and where to file on page 5, and extension of time to file on page 5, amended return, whether when you are amending your return, if you need to amend your Form 990 Easy, 990 or 990 Easy, that would be on page 5 as well. As failure to file penalty, there are certain penalties when you fail to file, which could be found on page 5. And requirements for properly complete Form 990 Easy is also on page 7, and you can see all the remaining contents and on what pages you would find these contents for whatever questions you may have. So without any further ado, you can if you need more information as far as the instruction on how to file Form 990 Easy, you can find it on the IRS website. You would go to irs.gov, and in the search button you type instruction for Form 990 Easy. So let's do that and see what we will have. So you would go to www.irs.gov. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, anyway, so I know what it didn't show it. Okay, let's do that again. So let's do https www.irs.gov. Okay, so now you're on the IRS webpage. So you would, as you can see, I did some research as well here. You will type instruction for Form 990 Easy, and then click enter. And then here you have filing tips. So what I want to go, this is where you would find the instruction for Schedule A Form 990 or 990 Easy, and also some other information that are very important. This is the instruction for Form 990 Easy, which is the a PDF document. You can download that and go over it as you are filing your Form 990 Easy. But there are some important tips here before we go through the form, some guidelines that are required here. And the tips, these are the tips and why those tips are necessary. So sponsoring organization and controlling organization. So basically, if you are a sponsoring organization or a donor advised fund, you must file Form 990 rather than Form 990 Easy. So, and then, or you must also file Form 990 rather than Form 990 Easy if you are non controlling organization defined in Section 512B 13, and if there was any transfer of fund between you and any controlled entity during your tax year as well, you have to file that form. And then double check your identifying information, which will go over the form with you. So these are tips that you must know when you file the form. You must double check your identifying information, such as your EIN, your address, your company legal name, checks accuracy of your employer identification number, tax period, and group exemption number, GEN, if applicable. Make sure you indicate the correct internal revenue code subsection for your organization's tax exempt status as indicated in your determination letter. When you apply for your exemption status, you receive a determination letter by the IRS. You have to check that information, and that information you have on the letter when you file your Form 990 Easy must match all information there, because the IRS will cross reference or check, validate your return with information they have in their system. And if the information does not match their system, you might receive a notice, or it will delay the processing of your return. Be sure to sign the return after you file Form 990 Easy. It is not completed without a proper signature and the signature block part 6. An office of the gun, basically the person who's responsible, and office of the organization who is responsible to sign the return must sign that return. For a corporation or association, this officer may be the president, vice president, treasurer, assistant treasurer, chief accounting officer, or tax officer. For a trust, the authorized trustee must sign that. Okay, so tip for completing part 1 and through 5. All organizations that file Form 990 Easy must complete fully part 1 through 5 of Form 990 Easy. Tip for completing part 6. All 501c3 organizations like churches and Section 4947A1 non-exempt charitable trusts must complete all part 6 of Form 990 Easy. 990 Easy, basically no information should be left out in this section. Tip for to be sure all required schedules are fully completed and attached. So the schedule, I want you to be familiar with the schedule. So I'll show you what some of the information on the schedule. So Form 990 Easy filer may be required to file schedule. So these schedules are range from A, B, C, E, G, L, N. So let's see the Schedule A. Schedule A. Okay. So basically, as you can see, Schedule A is a public charity status and public support form that must be accompanied or attached to Form 990 Easy or your return Form 990. Okay, so you must complete this form if the organization is a Section 501c3 organization or Section 4947A1 non-exempt charitable trust. And part 1 would be the reason for public charity. If you are a church or school, describe that. Or if you are a hospital or cooperative hospital service organization, a medical research, or an organization operated for the benefit of college or university owned or operated by government, you need to describe in Section 170 B1A IV. You must complete part 2. Okay, so one special attention here on Section 12. If you are an organization organized and operated exclusively for the benefit of to perform a function or carry out the purpose of one or more publicly supported organization described in Section 501A1, 509A1, or Section 509A2, Section 509A3, and so forth. one of these type must be applied to you. Support organization operates supervised or controlled by its supported organization, typically by giving the supported organization the power to regularly appoint or elect a majority of the directors or trustees of the supporting organization. Type 2 and so forth. Type 3, type 3, you have two different type 3, one that is functionally integrated, one that is non-functionally integrated, and the description thereof. And then the section here would be, you must provide the following information about the supported organization: the name of the supported organization, the organization you supported, their EIN, the type of organization described in section 1 through 10 above, the organization listed in your governing document, whether yes or no, amount of money supported, instruction and subsidy instruction, and you put the amount here, and amount or order support you receive, and so forth. And then part 2 will be support schedule for organization described in section 170B1, which we went over earlier above. And then in that section, you have section A, which is public support. You would type the amount here, whether it's grants or gifts, contributions, or member fees, and so forth, in the subsequent year involved. And number 2, tax revenue levy for organization benefits, and so forth. And then section B, under that category, would be total support and calendar year or fiscal year beginning and subsequent to the year. And section C, computation of public support or percentage. And then part 3 would be support schedule for organization described in section 509A2 if you are section 509A2, and then the public support and so forth, same thing. And total support and computation of public support percentage. So part 4 would be supporting organization. What organization that support you and support all supporting organization, and whether yes or no, you'll go through all of these questions and check yes or no to indicate what the applicable answer to your organization. Supporting organization continue in that part 4, and section B, type 1, supporting organization. Section C, type 2, supporting organization. All type of section D, all type 3, supporting organization. And then part 5, type 3, if your organization is a type non-functionally integrated 509A3 supporting organization, you will click that mark here, checkbox here, check here if the organization satisfied the integral part test as qualified trust on November 20th, 1970. Explain part 6. See instruction for that. And then adjusted net income, and then minimum asset amount. Okay, so you'll just basically go through the form, and then there is also specific instruction how to complete this schedule as part of your filing, Schedule A. Okay, let's go back here. All right. Okay. This. And then we go back to the form, and then that was Schedule A, and then Schedule B, just so you'll be familiar with the form, the schedule. This schedule is Schedule B is related to Form 990 and 990 Easy Nonprofit Organization, is schedule of contribution. You must attach this form to your Form 990 or 990 Easy or 990 PF Private Foundation. Basically, again, you must indicate the type of organization, if you're a 501c3 or whatever or other type of organization. If you are a organization fall under section 494 7A1, non-exempt charitable trust, not treated as private foundation. For if you are an organization fall under category section code section 527, political organizations, you will check that. And Form 990 PF, this is for private foundation, uh, 501c3 exempt private foundation, 4947A1 non-exempt charitable trust as a private foundation, and 501c3 taxable private foundation. And then you'll follow these general guidelines and rules here. And then when you go to part one requests for contributors like donors that provide you funds that you use to run your organizations, and their address and zip code, total amount contributed, whether it's a person, whether through payroll or non-cash cash contribution would be like property given if a car was given or any other non-cash properties and so forth, or you'll fill out this section. Part two would be a non-cash property, like we explained, like a car, like a house or piece of land and so forth. And then part three would be exclusive religious, charitable, etc. contribution to organization described in section 501c7 or 501c8 or 501c10 that total more than $1,000 for the year from any one donor contributor. So you will also provide a purpose for the gift, they use what the gift was used for, and describe of how gift is held. If whether you how you maintain the book for that gift, and you will list all the purpose or every gift that you receive. You will list them if the gift again is more than $1,000. And then this is specific instruction for that form so you can follow through. Okay, so let's go back to Schedule C. Schedule C is political campaign and lobbying activities. That is for Schedule C, for organization exempt from income tax under Section 51C and Section 4 of Section 527 must complete this form. Okay, again, this form again is straightforward. You'll indicate the organization name, the employee identification number per se. Let's say Harvest Revival. Revival. Of course, you have to be capitalized and so forth. Harvest Revival Church, and then EIN, of course. Blah blah blah. And so you will indicate prescribe or describe of the organization's direct or indirect political campaign activities, definition, political campaign, okay, and then here you will enter name, address of employer, identification number of Section 527 political organization to which filing organization made payment. The filing organization made payment. If you made payment to any political organization, you list their name, the address, the EIN, the amount to pay, and amount of political contribution received promptly and directly delivered to separate political organization. Part 2A, complete the section if the organization exempt under Section 501c3 and file Form 5768 election under Section 501H. Sorry. And then Part B would be completed if the organization exempt under Section 501c3 and has not filed Form 5768 election under Section 501H. Part 3A complete if the must be completed if the organization exempt under Section 501c4, Section 501c5, or Section 501c6, and so forth. All the information here for you, and supplemental information, all the necessary information that you think that are vital to the processing of your Schedule C form related to your Form 990 or Form 990 Easy. So you are that give you the ideas, so you can be familiarize yourself with these forms. And then for Schedule E, the Schedule E again is for Form 990 Easy or 990 990. You must be completed if the organization answered yes on Form 990, Part 4, line 13 of Form 990 is the Part 5, line 48. Must complete Schedule E. And then it's again straightforward, and then it following instruction to the form. Okay, and then go to Schedule G. Um, Schedule G is for supplemental information regarding fundraising or gaming activities. There, the organization is involved in fundraising activities or gaming activities. This form must be filed, and basically you must indicate whether the organization raised funds through any of the following activity. Check all that apply: mail solicitation, internet or email solicitation, fund, if you make phone call to donors and to fundraise, to conduct fundraising, and person solicitation if you go door to door or meet people to raise funds. You will indicate that. Solicitation of non-government grants, solicitation of government grants if you solicit for government grants, special fundraising events like concerts or maybe a cookout or anything in that nature. And so therefore, if the question to section 2A indicate, did the organization have a written or oral agreement with any individual, including officers, director, trustees? Okay, let's expand this. Um, and then if the answer, okay, trustees or key employee listed in Form 990 Part 7, or entity in connection with professional fundraising services. If the answer is yes to this, you must list the 10 highest paid individual or entity fundraisers pursuant to agreement under which the fundraiser is to be compensated at least $5,000 by the organization. Name and address of the individual or entity. If you use a company to fundraise or in a specific individual, you'll name them there. And activity, what kind of activity the fundraiser did to conduct the fundraising conduct the fundraising activity. Did the fundraiser have custodial control of the contribution? When the fundraiser received the contribution, do they have complete control of that custodial control of the contribution, meaning that they can do whatever with it, decide how much to give you, or decide, the fate of that, the accounting of that fund. Gross receipt from the activity, amount paid or retained by the fundraiser, and amount paid to or retained by the organization. So you'll do that and list all of that. And then you will also list all state in which the organization is registered or licensed to solicit a contribution or has been notified it is exempt from registration or licensing. So you have all these obligations. Fundraising events. What are the fundraising events? The event number one, type of event, gross receipt from that event. Event number two, less contributions. Basically, if the event gross receipt, and then you also give the difference between the amount the organization received and the amount the fundraiser received would be here, and then gross income from that and so forth. And also cash prize, if there are cash prize, non-cash prize, rent, facility costs, food and beverages, entertainment, other direct expense to that. And then you would subtract, like it says, direct expense summary, add line 4 through 9 in column D. That would give you a total expense for that. And then net income summary would be subtract line 10, which is this 10 here, line 10, from line 3 column G. Okay, so it will tell you the net income from that activity. And it is the same thing for the gaming activity as well. And then you follow through the form through part 4, supplemental information, like other information that are necessary to complete the processing of your form 990 or 990Z. You'll provide the explanation required by part 1, line D, 2B, colon one I in column 3, I guess, and 5 in part 3, line 9, 9B, 10B, 15B, 15C, and so forth. And that would complete your Schedule G. Okay, that will complete your Schedule G. Okay, let's get out of this. Go back. All right. And then you have Schedule N, also Schedule N. So there are many different schedules that you must be aware of, okay, as a non-profit organization. So Schedule L deal with, you must complete this, the organization must deal with transaction with interested person. Basically, this form must be completed if the organization answered yes on Form 990 Part 4, line 25A, 25B, 26, 27, 28A, 28B, 28C, or Form 990 is easy, Part 5, line 38A or 40B. Must attach this form to your Form 990 or Form 990 easy. And then basically, excess benefit transaction, Section 501c3, Section 501c4, and Section 501c29 organization only. Must complete if the organization answer yes on Form 990 Part 4, as we explained before. And then name of this qualified person, and then relationship between the disqualified person and organization. These are person of interest, description of transactions, what type of transactions, and then whether it was corrected or yes, no or yes. And then part 2 would be loan to or from interested person. If the interested person make loan to the organization or take a loan from the organization or make a loan to the organization, the name of the interested person must be here. The relationship with the organization must be entered on column B. The purpose of the loan, whether it was made to the interested person or the interested person made the loan to the organization, this must be entered in column C. And loan to or from the organization, you will indicate if it is to or from, to the organization or from the organization to the interested person. And then original principal balance of the loan or the balance due if the person has paid some of the balance, the net balance by the end of the year, whether the person is in default or approved by the board, whether the loan was approved by the board of directors, and a written agreement, whether there is a written agreement for that loan or not. And then part 3, grants or assistance benefiting interest person. Now, grants or assistance benefiting the interested person must be completed. This part must be completed if the organization answered yes on Form 990 Part 4, line 27. Name of the interested person, relationship of the interested person and the organization, amount of assistance given, type of assistance, purpose for which the assistance was given. And then if you have multiple interested person, their name must be entered here. And then part 4, business transaction involving interested person. So name of the interested person, again, the relationship between the organization and the interested person, the amount of transaction, description of the transaction, sharing of organization's revenue will be indicated here. If the interested person has a vested interest in the organization revenue, this information we would indicate yes or no here. And in part 5 would be supplemental information. Other information, provide additional information for response to questions on Schedule L. You must see the instruction. All right. Okay. Okay. The last schedule for this would be Schedule N. And then Schedule N. For Schedule N, basically is liquidation, termination, dissolution, or significant disposition of asset. If the company, if the organization has been liquidated, terminated, dissolved, or there are significant disposition of assets, whether it is transferred to other interested person in the organizations, or the company sold these assets or donate them to other organizations, they must be accounted for. Basically, but this form must be completed if the organization answer yes on Form 990 Part 4, line 31 or 32 of Form 990 Easy, line 36. So these forms are very important. When you file your Form 990 or 990 Easy, when you answer yes to these questions, or you have to ensure that make sure that the necessary schedule applicable to those yes questions are also attached to your form. Otherwise, it will delay the processing of your 990 or 990 Easy form. Okay, so liquidation description of asset distributed or transaction expense paid, or transaction expense paid, date of the distribution or termination or dissolution or significant disposition, fair market value of the asset at the time of the event, distributed or amount of transaction expense, method of determining fair market value. What kind of method did you use to determine the fair market value for the asset distributed or transaction expense? The EIN of the recipient, the person to whom the asset was transferred to, the name and address of the recipient, the Internal Revenue Code section of recipient, if tax exempt, or type of entity, like 501c3 or private foundation or charitable organization, 990PF organizations, or and the like. And then these are other few questions that you must answer yes or no. Did or will any officer, director, trustee, or key employee of the organization did or will any officer, director, trustee, or key employee of the organization become a director or trustee or successor or transferee organization, someone who received transfer from the organization, yes or no? And then so forth. We read all these questions and jump to part 1 in that section here: liquidation, termination, or disposition. And then you will fill out this section and answer the applicable questions. Part 2, sales, exchange, disposition, or the transfer of more than 25% of organization assets. So you have to know whether the disposition or transfer of any asset were 25% of the organization asset. And then this description of asset distributed or transaction expense and so forth, very explanatory. And then answer the same questions here. And then jump to part 3, which is supplemental information. Provide information required by part 1, line 2E and 6C, and part 2, line 2E. Also complete this part to provide any additional information. And then specific instruction is given to you, or to complete, to properly complete Schedule N. Okay? So that completed the overall aspect of going through, getting you ready for the form. So basically, you have to ensure that all required schedules are fully completed and attached. Be careful, carefully read the instruction for each of the required schedules. So these forms usually take time, specifically if you have if you have applicable schedule that must be completed, and they must be completed carefully, accurately, in other words. So, and then also complete all applicable parts and lines. Answer yes or no to each questions, like we just said, and unless otherwise instructed for particular question. Make an entry on all total line, including 0 when appropriate. If the line is not applicable, just put 0. Don't leave it blank. Complete Schedule A form 990 Easy, 990 or 990 Easy. Just as you have a Schedule A for form 1040 individual tax return, you also have one for the which we just went over. Basically, organization that filed form must complete fully and file Schedule A. You must use the appropriate Schedule A for the tax period for which you are filing. Penalties may be assessed for failing to file the proper version of Schedule A for the tax period of the return. Complete Schedule B, Form 990 Easy. Like we already went over this form with you, and so basically that completed the key components for tips and why those tips are necessary for completing Form 990 Easy as well as 990 Form non-profit organizations and charitable organizations. Okay, next video we will go over the actual Form 990 Easy, each part, and then just to go give you an overview. Okay. Hopefully this information was helpful. I like my videos, or share them and subscribe. Um, see you when I upload. See you to the next video, basically. Thank you.